guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm doing last week's market recap. Here's the major indices performance, what lagged, which stocks stood out, how crypto moved, and what we're gonna watch for next week as we dive into the middle of December. Let's dive right in. So a little bit about this week, it was a tale of two different markets. The Dow Jones finished up about 1% on the week. S&P 500 was about flat at 0.6%. The Nasdaq was weaker, declining around 1.46%, and the Russell 2000 showed strength with about 1.48% in gains. This divergence is telling us that value and cyclicals outperformed. Growth in tech lagged, and the broad market didn't move uniformly. Now for volatility, volume, and sentiment. Unlike recent holiday weeks, volume this past week was normal, and we saw real rotation pressures, especially in tech. A lot of people moving out of tech. Tech weakness was driven by disappointing guidance and margin fears in AI. That continues to weigh on sentiment, even as value sectors and small caps held up better. Now let's look at what sectors and market weakness there was for last week. Basically what lagged the market. Even though the Dow and the small caps held up, not everything participated. Sectors that underperform, information technology, dragged down by broader tech weakness, and communication services stepped back as some mega caps sold off. Some of the notable individual laggards for this week: Broadcom was down about 8%, sharply lower on margin concerns despite earnings. AMD down 1%, pressured along semiconductors, and Oracle down with weaker forecasts weighing on the company. What this tells us is that value and defensive areas were stable. Some notable stock outperformers, certain areas and names stood out. The names that stood out were Dow-centric value names, industrials, and financial companies continued to outperform overall. Healthcare and select consumer names also held up relatively well. This rotation towards value and defensive strength helped keep the broader market from rolling over completely. As for crypto markets were mixed, relatively weak for the week, tracking risk off sentiment. Weekly performance estimates for the top cryptos: Bitcoin roughly up 2%. As for Ethereum was up over 2% as well. Solana up over 1%. The week overall lackluster, especially after the Fed rate cuts midweek. But crypto failed to sustain strong follow-through. Because crypto and high beta tech names have remained correlated for most of this year, crypto weakness often pre-signals pressure for tech early in the week. So I'll be watching crypto closely as we get closer to Monday market open. Outlook and what to watch for next week. As we head into Monday, December 15th, economic data and some catalysts for next week. Monday, December 15th, we have Empire Manufacturing, Housing Market Index. Tuesday, December 16th, we have ADP Employment, JOLTS job opening numbers. Wednesday, December 17th, we have continued labor and macro data. Thursday, December 18th, CPI inflation, which is a big one. And Friday, December 19th, durable goods and consumer confidence. Inflation and job numbers late in the year tend to move rate expectations and risk assets significantly. Some market themes to watch for next week: tech versus value rotation that happened this week. Will tech stabilize after recent profit taking? Yield and risk sentiment. Rising yields pressured risk assets. Does that continue this coming week? Breadth and volume. We need broader participation to validate any rally. Bottom line, last week was very mixed. Strength in value, small caps, and healthcare, but tech and AI linked names and crypto was very tepid. Breadth remains uneven. The upcoming data is very important, especially inflation. Will set the narrative going forward into the year end. Stay disciplined. Make sure to get confirmation before assuming a trend shift. Thanks for watching Stock Rock. Peace.